Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
Alrighty, Roo. This is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with the sadistic Joel.
Hey guys, what's up? Oh man, I like that one.
You're so sadistic.
Sadistic, yes.
Okay, so what are we doing? Oh yeah, this is Scare Talk. We're about to talk about is it 2018?
Yeah.
2018 Netflix series, The Haunting of Hill House.
Yes, first show that we've done on this podcast.
Yes, we're doing the whole series, all 10 episodes.
Yep.
So this is going to be about a 10-hour podcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't be too long.
It's going to take as long as the show.
Yeah. We're basically going to play the show for you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, with the next season, The Haunting of Bly Manor, coming out, we figured we should talk about this one, get people stoked and excited for the new season, like we are.
Yes, I am very stoked for it.
Yeah.
I will probably binge this in a weekend.
You would.
I probably will.
All right, Joel, so who is in this series?
All right, so I didn't know exactly, because everyone in this show is basically a main character.
True. Yeah.
So I wasn't quite sure how to narrow down who to mention on here, but so I did mention 3 of the siblings. Michael Huisman, who is Steven. He's the oldest.
Yeah.
Of the siblings. He was in World War Z. 18 episodes of Game of Thrones, which is, besides this show, something that most people recognize him for.
Yeah.
And a romantic drama called The Age of Adeline.
All right.
And we've got Oliver Jackson Cohen. He's Luke. And he was in The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
He's the Invisible Man. Faster. The Raven. And he's going to be in The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Nice.
Yeah, I like him. He's one of the best characters on Haunting of Hill House. So
yeah.
I'm hoping he's going to have just as good of a character in this. And then we've got Victoria Pedretti. She plays Nell. And she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think, for a very small. She had a cameo appearance in that.
Okay.
She was in 11 episodes of You. I think she's in season 1. I think she's in season 1. Or, no, she might be the main girl in season 2.
Oh. Huh. Okay.
And also Haunting of Bly Manor.
Okay, she's in it too?
Yeah, she's coming back too. I think at least 3 of the 5 siblings are going to be in the show.
Okay.
And I didn't mention one of them just because I'm going to be mentioning movies that she's been in.
Okay.
With him, because it's Theo, the actress who plays Theo, her name's Kate Siegel, I think.
Yeah.
Her husband is Mike Flanagan, who wrote and directed this entire series. So she's in a lot of his stuff here.
Yeah.
So this is written by Mike Flanagan. He did the entire series.
Yeah.
All 10 episodes of it, and he wrote Dr. Sleep, the screenplay, not the story. Hush, Oculus screenplay for that, And another Netflix show called Midnight Mass.
Oh.
So he's got another one coming out here at some point.
Oh, so that's still to come?
Yeah, it's still to come, yeah.
Okay.
I tried looking it up to see if it comes out this year or when, and it doesn't really have a date yet. So that's going to be fun to see. And this was also directed by Mike Flanagan. He directed, along with the other movies that he wrote, Gerald's Game, Ouija, Origin of Evil, which I actually really liked.
Okay, I have to watch that.
I saw the first one, and I compare it to Annabelle and Annabelle Creations.
Okay.
As far as quality goes.
Okay.
The second's like way better. And Before I Wake, which is another Netflix movie.
That was good.
Yeah, it was. So he's the Netflix king right now.
Well, he's the horror king right now.
Yeah, he is.
I feel like
he's definitely probably my favorite modern horror director.
Yeah, I mean, I think people would say Jordan Peele.
He's only done 2 though.
Yeah, he's only done a couple.
He's got to come up with a couple more to.
Yeah,
but he's really good too. So
and the guy that did Invisible Man.
Oh, yeah, he's really good too. He wrote several of the Saw movies.
Yeah,
and starred in one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's good too. I forgot what his name was.
Yeah.
We've mentioned him several times in our earlier podcasts.
Yeah. Okay, so this whole series is, flashing between past and present. A fractured family confronts haunting memories of their old home and the terrifying events that drove them from it.
Man.
All right. So, like it said, this goes. It actually has a few different time periods because it's when they're a kid, and then it's current time, but then there's also this kind of in between time where each character, it kind of shows how they get to the current time. You know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the episodes are character specific.
Yeah. Oh, they are.
You know, there's not 10 main characters, so there's not all the episodes like that, but a good chunk of them are each episode based off of one character.
Yeah, the first 5 are the siblings, and it goes in order of how old the siblings are.
Oh, okay.
Because it starts with Steven and it ends with Nell, and that's oldest to youngest. So I thought that was pretty interesting how they did that way.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Huh.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about. Yes. So instead of just doing positives and negatives, let's just kind of talk about it. Okay. Because there's just so much.
Yeah, there is.
So something I really liked was the themes that it tackled. One of them being addiction.
Yeah.
And so that's Luke.
Yeah.
That's his character.
Each character has their own thing that they're going through.
Yeah. So what'd you think about that? What'd you think about Luke overall?
I really like Luke. Luke was one of my favorite characters. There were times that he really kind of pissed me off a little bit, some of the things that he would do, but you have to understand that's the addiction that's the addiction talking there. So it makes sense of all 5 of the siblings that he would be the one addicted to drugs because as a child, he's the one that went through the most as far as like he's the one. Neville did too, but he's the one that actually like got attacked by ghosts and stuff. Like
true.
Down when they when he went down the dumbwaiter, there was a creature there and like tore his shirt.
Right.
It's like that would scar me for life going through something like that.
Yeah.
So and then when he's hiding under his bed, hiding from the top hat man.
Yeah.
And then the top hat man like gets on his knees or whatever and like lifts and like sees him and he's like screams. Yeah. That would terrify someone as well.
Right.
No one really. Nell did have the bent neck lady, so she did have some trauma.
Yeah.
But as far as being attacked, I don't think anyone besides Luke has actually been attacked.
Right.
So it makes sense that of the 5 characters, he would be the one that would, that would seek drugs.
Right.
Drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
So
I could see that.
So that, him being addicted made a lot of sense.
Yeah. It was, addiction alone can be scary. Mm-hmm. So it really put you in his shoes.
Yeah.
Because he, even when he was clean, like his family, his siblings didn't really believe him because of how he was acting.
Yeah.
Because of he had kind of this connection with Nell, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Where after she died, he was like freezing all the time. He was like shivering and stuff. And, you know, it was this connection, like, she's
it's a twin
dead.
thing.
You know, she's dead,
Yeah.
so she's like cold.
Yeah.
And so then, you know, but if you're like a meth head or a crackhead, you know, then you're gonna have the shakes. You're gonna have these random cold spells and stuff. So it made him look bad.
Yeah.
But it showed like how, you know, going through detox can do that to you. And he played it so good.
He did.
He was really believable as that character. And so, you know, it tackled that, and when you're on drugs, like, you could hallucinate, you could see things that aren't there, you could be, you know, unreasonably paranoid and, you know, things like that. So while these things were happening to them, at the same time, he's like, well, I'm on drugs. You know, this can't be real.
It could be the drugs talking. And also, you know, going through his whole life, basically being convinced that it is the drugs by his brother.
Yeah.
Steven, who, like, you know, we'll get into him in a minute here too, but it's just, you know, having nobody on your side when you're going through what you're going through.
And then you finally get somebody.
Yeah.
And then she screws him over.
Yeah.
That was messed up.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so along with that, there's the whole theme of mental illness. That is a big part of the story, which a lot of times goes with addiction and drugs and all that too. But there's multiple characters that mental illness is mentioned with. One of them being Nell.
Yeah.
And then the other being the mom.
Yeah.
And this is all Steven's. Really, Steven projecting this mental illness. It's mental illness. It's mental illness on the family and their situation and what happened with their mom and what's happening with Nell and you know, she's off her meds and all this stuff. So let's talk about those characters: Steven, Nell, and the mom.
Okay. I don't really even know where to start with those characters.
Well, what do you think of the mom?
So, I really liked the character. I really liked the mom. I can see, you know, from the moment her whole progression, going from normal, I guess, in the beginning when they move in to what happens on the last night is what they always keep going back to. The last night. Seeing that progression, that's her episode. I think was like episode 9. Was her like that was her episode. I'm pretty sure it was either 9 or 10. I think it was 9. But it was her progression going from just being a normal, like, loving mom and wife to this like crazy possessed like thing towards the end there. And her progression, I really liked seeing that progression, because there's times throughout the entire show where you see her in different scenarios and you're like, what is she doing? And then you find out you find out everything in that one episode. And I basically loved how it really tied everything together in this entire show. If you had questions in the first couple of episodes, they were answered just by episode 10. And
that is probably one of my biggest positives for the whole show, is the way it was written and the way the story was told. Was so cool.
I remember watching this the first time, and I think I watched it in like the first weekend, maybe the second weekend, and then right after I remember texting you and telling you should watch this show, and you're like, does it have an ending? I'm like, I don't want to answer that, because typically a season 1 does not have an ending. But if I said yes, it does, then you know, it's kind of giving that away. I don't know.
Like, I can't think of that being the first thing that pops in my mind.
That was. Okay. I remember that being like what you said. I'm like, I don't want to say anything.
Weird. Okay.
Like, you just kind of have to watch it.
Maybe I just watched something that pissed me off because it didn't have an ending.
I mean, when you're like watching a show, it is a commitment. Like,
right.
So,
maybe that's what I was thinking. Like, do I really want to get invested in something? Yeah. I don't know.
So I thought that was pretty funny when that happened. I was like, I don't know how to answer this question. It kind of gives it away. Either thing I say, like, give something away for it. But I loved.
And who's that actress? We didn't mention her.
No, we didn't. There's a lot of people we didn't mention, but she is definitely.
What has she been in?
Her name's Carla something. Carla. I think it starts with a G. The dad's been in quite a few things too.
Yeah.
I wanted to focus on the kids.
Yeah. Carla Gugino.
Gugino. Yeah.
Watchmen. Gerald's Game.
Yeah.
She's the main character in
Yeah,
Gerald's
she
Game,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like one of the only characters in Gerald's Game.
Theo's in that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
American Gangster.
I think she's in Hush.
Theo's in Hush.
Yeah, I know she is, but I thought that she was too.
I don't think so. No, it doesn't show it. Huh. Batman versus Superman.
Huh.
She
probably has a small part in that
ship
one.
Voice.
Ship voice. She's not even in it. She's a voice.
I don't know
voice actress
what
now.
that means. Anyway, so yeah, she did really, really good.
Yeah,
really convincing too.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're watching it, you're like, okay, so we know, or we think we know, that this house is haunted.
Mm-hmm.
But Steven's making some good arguments for mental illness.
Yeah, he is.
And is she possessed, or is she just severely depressed?
Mm-hmm.
And, is she taking meds? Is she, just going into insanity?
Yeah.
Or is she being taken by this house, So I felt like you were kind of not too sure for a lot of especially when it doesn't line up very well. It's just like all of a sudden she's like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to wait until you get to that episode that you're talking about to really understand all of the timeline, the stuff that passed. And during her episode, it shows all those parts from previous episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you kind of get the connection, like, oh, that's when that happened. That's when that happened. So cool. They do that a lot with a lot of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
The way the story unfolds is really cool.
Yeah, the writing in this is amazing, to say the least.
Yeah, incredible.
Mike Flanagan is, not just like directing, but he's the writer of this entire show too, and he is not only like one of the best directors, he's definitely one of the best writers too.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
There are so many like amazing monologues and speeches throughout this entire show. Just like, I either teared up a couple of times with them or it gave me goosebumps. Like, it's just
I do have a quote that I'll play
in
a little while once we get through these characters.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of Steven as far as we're talking about the mental illness stuff, but just as far as his character
alone, I had some issues with his character. I've seen the show 3 times now.
Yeah.
Getting ready for, I don't want to say the second season because it's an anthology thing, but so the first time I watched it, I didn't like his character at all. I thought
you didn't like him as a person, or like you didn't like his acting.
Well, no, his acting was great. The writing and acting was amazing.
Oh, okay.
It's the character himself. It's the person, Steven, that I had a problem with. He just didn't seem very like understanding the first time I watched it. Watching back this third time, I can understand more of where he was coming from.
Right.
You've got these siblings that have been seeing ghosts since they were kids.
Yeah.
By the time you're an adult, it would kind of get old after a while if you never witnessed anything like that before.
Right.
Because he was the oldest, so usually in these movies and TV shows, it's the kids and the animals that see the spirits. Animals,
yeah, that's true.
Animals do see the
they
spirits
bark at it,
and get scared of it. But it's usually the little kids.
Yeah.
And in this, it was Nell and Luke.
The little kids.
Yeah, the little kids.
Oh, and by the way, those little kids,
amazing
they
actors.
Were so good.
Yeah.
They were so
all of them
cool.
Were really good. Yeah.
Especially Nell and Luke.
Yeah.
The 2 littlest ones.
I like Theo, too. She was...
Yeah.
She's in Designated Survivor. She's the daughter in that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she was in Annabelle Creation 2, if I'm not mistaken. But, so That was definitely a positive for me.
Yeah.
The acting, like the kid to adult acting.
Yeah.
Just like It Chapter 2.
Yeah.
Matching those characters. Probably like one of my biggest positives for that movie.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not one of the biggest, because I have several that I love about this series. But it's definitely a positive.
Yeah.
Like the adult to kid acting.
Yeah. So back to Steven.
So going back, watching it again, I wanted to have more of an understanding of that character.
Right.
Going through it the third time. And because I still didn't like him the second time. I didn't really still give him a chance. But I can understand where he was coming from with the siblings.
Yeah.
And he actually, like, when he's... Are we doing spoilers for this? Because
I don't know if we have to get too specific about things.
Yeah, it's just there's one part where he sees someone and like starts breaking down, like,
yeah.
And at that moment, like, if you weren't sure exactly how he felt about his family, like, you knew how he felt in that moment.
Okay. And
like seeing it the third time, I was like, I can definitely see his frustration with a couple of the siblings.
Yeah. And
I didn't like some of the stuff he did with his wife.
Uh-huh.
That I still couldn't quite grasp my mind around, like, what he was what he was thinking in those moments. But as far as the siblings go, I can understand more.
Yeah, when it comes to the siblings too, like, he's supposed to be the older brother, the oldest sibling. You know, he's supposed to be the one that's
the protector,
calm, the protector, the one that, you know, just keeps everybody, you know, keeps everything even. Mm-hmm. So he's like trying to do that throughout his whole life, pretty much, and they're just like battling it. Yeah, and he's like, stop, stop, and he's in denial too. Yeah, at the same time. Mm-hmm. You know, he wants to blame everything on mental illness and that. And he's also basically because he's a writer of he visits these places or talks to people who lived in these certain haunted places. And writes books about it.
John Cusack in 1408.
1408, yep. And he wrote a book about their house, and that really pissed everybody off.
It did. I want to talk about that part too, but yeah.
But he's kind of like he doesn't take it seriously.
No, he doesn't.
You know, all of that happened. He didn't witness anything. Yeah. So he doesn't take it seriously.
Even at the last night, like, the dad told him to close his eyes. Yeah. So he didn't see anything. I would have probably kept them open. Like, honestly, like, you're gonna tell a child to close their eyes during, like, we're moving in the middle of the night, like, just
and where's mom
look around? Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So
that's a intense. That's like how the show starts. Yeah, that's like the very, very first scene. Is that night? Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
It's so dark. The whole show is just... It even looks dark. Like, the way the lighting is done and everything. Even during the day, it's still kind of gray. You know, it has like a gray hue to it. Yeah. There's not many happy parts. And there's emotional parts. But it's so dark.
It is incredibly dark. It is a little on the depressing side from most of the show.
But it's beautiful.
It is very beautiful. But it's I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, you, as much as depressing and dark as it was, you still
have hope for...
Yeah, you have hope for them, and then you also kind of celebrate their little victories when they start to kind of click and they start to figure things out, and you start to figure things out. Even if it's bad news, you're like, oh, that's how that happened. Or, you know, and then there's just these underlying themes that are so just important in life, you know, and I feel like Flanagan, he just... really brought that to the screen.
Yeah, he did.
So well.
Yeah, he definitely did. What did you think about Steven writing the book in the first place? Like, from someone that didn't believe anything that happened.
No, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed, especially him making money off of it and stuff. And
didn't give everyone a little.
He said that he was he was going to give him some of the money, but like he knew how damaging that was to all the siblings. Yeah. And for him to write that, like,
not even believing what they're saying.
Yeah, not even believing it. Yeah. It's one thing if you're like, you know, I want to put this out there, like, this happened.
This is our story.
Whatever. But him just basically being a fraud, writing this book, like, that's very messed up.
Yeah.
He's he comes off as a very selfish guy. And
he does.
It's not till toward the end where you're like, okay, he's kind of turning the corner. He's kind of starting to understand where everybody else is coming from.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah.
Really cool. And then the other character was Nell.
Nell, yeah.
What'd you think of her whole story?
So, each character has their own episode.
Yeah.
And, which I love. I love just diving into each individual character.
Yeah.
And then everyone getting together for an episode and then going from there. Her episode is my favorite of the entire series.
Mine too.
It's just, there's so many different like emotions in that one episode that you're going through. There's so much going on in one episode,
right? And
it has the biggest twist of the show, or probably, I don't want to say that I've ever seen. That's kind of a
getting a little stretch now,
but. Of TV shows, at least.
Yeah. Well, what about 24? There's twists all over that.
God. Yeah. Can't forget that one. And Lost, also.
Oh, gosh. I don't even know if Lost counts. Twist to nothing.
But it's up there, top 5.
Okay, all right. That's reasonable.
But it's just a well-written episode. It goes through her life. She's actually happy at one point.
Yeah.
And she's like getting married, and she's having just.
She found this really cool guy.
Yeah,
he's like amazing.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah.
And like you can see like the love that the other siblings have, like in on her wedding day and stuff, and it's like, where is this throughout the entire show?
Yeah.
But it is such a well done, well acted episode. Yeah. I think honestly 5 through 10 are like the last half is my favorite half of the show.
Definitely. That's when it really starts picking up and rolling. And it starts connecting some dots. You start to see things from the first 5 episodes again, and you get the context of it.
I love the first 4, but the last half is definitely definitely the best. That's where you see. That's where all the little speeches and monologues come in. The last 2 especially.
Yeah.
Throughout, Theo's is in episode 8, but there's a couple in episode 10, and I really liked what's her name? Poppy? The evil, like the one that's basically convincing Olivia to save her kids.
The like maid. Oh no, you're talking about the scary like okay,
She's the one. She's got a speech that's like that basically convinces Olivia that to quote unquote save her kids. Yeah. Basically meaning to kill her kids, keep them safe from the world. Yeah.
It's so dark.
Yeah, it is
so dark.
I know, but
it reminded me of what's that? Shutter Island.
Yeah,
with the mom drowning the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's
rough.
It's pretty intense. but yeah, her. I completely forgot about her speech until the third time that I watched it, and I was like, that's a pretty crazy thing to just go out and say, but and
there's a little bit of truth to it.
Yeah, there is the mental health kicking in there.
Yeah,
saying, "Oh, yeah, this makes sense."
Right.
in some ways kind of does. Like,
yeah.
You know, compared to how their lives ended up, all
Right.
twisted, and you know, maybe it would have been better.
Joel,
But
getting a little
no.
crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But yeah, so that speech was just one of like 4 or 5 that were amazing in that. But yeah, Nell is definitely one of my favorite characters in the show, for sure.
Okay, and then then there's just like the whole theme of family, family dynamics, sibling dynamics, the estranged relationships with the father, and he's able to like communicate with his dead wife, and there's just all kinds of stuff going on. But I think a big thing is grief too. That's a big theme, and Cheryl. Shirley?
Sure. I can call her Cheryl.
Okay, Cheryl.
I think it's Shirley.
Whatever her name is. She owns like a funeral home, which is like connected to her actual home, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But so this is kind of how she is coping with loss. She makes people all pretty and good for, when they're going to have their funeral. What do you think about her character?
She, I like all of the characters in this. I do like her episode 2.
Yeah.
When she basically finds out that this is what she wants to do with her life.
Yep.
Because she sees that they, for some reason, have an open casket funeral for their mom.
Yeah.
And she goes up to see her, and she's like, "Oh, she looks." What did she say? She was just surprised that how good she looked, laying there, and she's like, "Yeah, this is like a light bulb like went off in her head. And like, this is what I want to do."
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see your loved one for the last time looking like like them.
Yeah. And so I liked her episode for that. I wasn't the biggest fan of her. As again, the acting is incredible and the writing for her character is really good. But it's just she's kind of like she's a female Steven, basically.
Yeah,
the
she's
same
the
person.
Second oldest.
Yeah,
she's the oldest sister.
Yeah,
she's kind of cold, kind of matter of fact about everything.
Yeah,
not much of a sense of humor, I would say.
Yeah, no, not really.
Very firm and just a very serious person.
Yeah, she is. And every family of 5 siblings has to have that one one person in there. So
definitely.
She did a really good job with the character. It's just, and again, I can see the whole matter of fact and sternness from her. There were a couple of scenes with Luke in her that I did not like very well. There was one scene, I think it was episode 5, where Luke's going to Nell's wedding. Yeah. And she stops him before he gets there and was like, You're on something. Yeah. I understand that part of it, but then she sends him away and gives him $100 bill and was like, you can what'd she say, you can smoke the rest of this or something like that. It's like, wow, not really. Yeah. It's like that's a little insensitive.
That's realistic though.
Yeah.
People do that. It's like you're just a problem.
Yeah.
So, and I've tried to help you. You're just unhelpable. Yeah. You're a problem. Don't come to this wedding and ruin it. And so let me just kind of push you away. Yeah. Sweep you under the rug or whatever. Yeah. I could see that happening all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't condone it or like it.
Well, yeah, yeah, it's one of those things again. After a while of dealing with that kind of thing, that you're just fed up and done with it. Yeah. So, like, I can see why she acted the way that she acted towards Luke, and it's mostly all the like negativeness is actually towards Luke. Yeah. In the show. Which is, after everything that he's put the family through is understandable, but it's just like, And I mean, she did also send him to that facility.
Yeah.
With her own money, $6,000 a month for that place. That is ridiculous.
That's true. Yeah. So that would piss me off.
Yeah.
That would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too happy with you if you did that.
That's. I mean, I don't know how realistic that is, but $6,000 a month.
How much they cost? A rehab facility.
That seems a little high. But yeah.
Okay. And then we have Theo.
Yeah, Theo. Another one of my favorite
She's
characters.
the middle child, basically. Yeah.
She is right in the middle.
Yeah.
Her character... So I remember you were texting me when you were watching the show a couple of times there, and one of them was her episode, and you're like, she has superpowers? Something like that.
Yeah. She takes her gloves off and she can like
when I saw
things.
that I could like see you like roll your eyes at that point. I don't know if you were, but it's something that I can definitely see. It's like, okay, well, this is not realistic anymore. She's got these superpowers.
Yeah.
So, but the whole theme, everything around the show is so realistic that didn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
It's just okay, that's just who she is.
Yeah.
And it was
what was the point of it?
Part of like the mom had it too.
Yeah.
And well, the point was for one of them was to lead us to the best speech in the entire episode or the entire show.
Yeah. Yeah.
When she touches Nell.
Yeah.
And flips out, like completely starts breaking down, and then that leaves us to episode 8 speech there. But it's just she used that power. I don't know like why she ended up getting that kind of power, but she used it for her job. Like that's you know, she used it for good.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know exactly. I know she developed it when she was a little girl because she was. Cause I think at one point she touched Luke because the mom, or was it Luke or Nell? Because the mom, I think it was Luke. The mom didn't believe something that Luke said.
Yeah. And
she like touched his hand or something, and was like, "I believe you."
Yeah, it was like he wrote something on the wall, right?
I think it was Nell that wrote.
Yeah, but he was being blamed for writing something on the wall. And he was saying it wasn't me. Mm-hmm. Or was it Nell?
I think it was I think it was the monster part that nobody believed.
Oh, okay.
For Luke, for Nell, Nell was accused for writing. Yeah, I think it was like. Welcome Nell. It actually had her name on there. Yeah. It's like, why would she write her own name on the wall? Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't mind the whole, I guess, supernatural aspect of her having that ability. Yeah. I mean, the whole show is supernatural anyway. Sure. In a realistic type of a setting as well. So it's, I don't know, that whole part didn't bother me. I really like that character. Yeah. I'm not usually in favor of like directors or writers having like their spouse or their whatever on the movies with them. I'm not a big Rob Zombie, Sherry Zombie fan. Yeah. I don't think she's good at all. But Theo is definitely she's like good. She's I'd be okay with her being in all of his stuff. Yeah. Hopefully she can actually get some other work outside of him, like big projects and stuff outside of him, because she's just a really good actress in general.
She reminds me of Angelina Jolie. Yeah? She really looks like her.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Yeah. So I really like that character. Again, she is a little bit cold, like Cheryl. Yeah. At times.
One of the parts that I thought was funny was it's episode 5 when they're at the funeral going to see Nell in the casket. She's like, they always say that, you know, when you see them they look asleep,
Yeah.
And she's like, she doesn't look asleep. She looks dead.
Yeah.
And Cheryl is the one that puts them together, makes them look all pretty and stuff.
I had a problem with that too. It's like, are you serious? You're doing your own sister's like embalming?
Yeah. And so that was like kind of funny for her to say in front of her.
Yeah, in front of her, like, you didn't do a very good job.
Yeah, she looks dead.
Yeah.
And then even when their dad gets there, or I don't remember if it was their dad or Luke, somebody gets there and they're like, when we go see her, and she's like, she looks dead.
Yeah.
Just warning them. Like,
I think that's episode 6, which...
Oh, was that 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which that visually is the best episode in the entire show. Yeah. Like, there were scenes, I think they only shot like 3. There were definitely moments, like long moments where it was just like filmed in one shot.
Yep.
And I think they did that like 3 different times. And there was moments where they had everybody.
Yeah.
From past and present. Like the kids, they all had to like quickly, because the camera was turning.
Yeah.
And it was going back to the past, and they all had to get in their positions.
Right.
It's like, it's incredible. Like,
it was really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
You could see like when a character was walking, like typically it would just be like, all right, cut scene. We're going to get a different angle. They're going to be over here now. And so, but it was just the camera was following them everywhere. Yeah. And like just seamless too. So smooth. So yeah, the camera work and visually that was cool.
Yeah.
The first time I remember seeing that was True Detective.
Yeah.
And that was like just one scene.
Yeah, that
whole
was
episode.
Yeah. It was
that was awesome. In
fairly
True Detective.
long scene, but it was Yeah.
So, really cool. I like seeing that. And, then there was some stuff like in the background and, like the ghosts and the bent neck lady. And, stuff like that was cool.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty good or pretty important plot development in that episode with Theo and Shirley.
Yeah.
And there is a really good jump scare. Do you know what I'm talking about? When they're driving in the car.
Oh, yeah. Episode 8? Yeah.
Is that... Oh, yeah.
That's
right when it happens. That's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
That is... It's the best jump scare in the entire show, followed by the best speech in the entire show. It's like... I kind of feel like that speech, because that jump scare was so good, that it overshadows how good that speech actually was that Theo had made.
Right.
Kind of wish it was in a different episode or different part of the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole car scene, even with Steven and Q, the dad, they had a really good moment too.
Yeah.
Talking about the Red Room.
Right.
Talking about how Steven actually did see a ghost in the house and he wasn't aware.
Right.
Until that episode.
Like, what was it? The clock guy?
The clock guy,
yeah.
It's like there was, and talking about how there was never a treehouse.
Yeah.
He's like, me and Luke went in there all the time. Yeah. Like, he's like, we were only going to be here because they were flipping houses.
Yeah, they're not going to make a treehouse.
Yeah, he's like, we're going to be here maybe 6 weeks. There was no way I was going to have time to build you guys a treehouse.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, okay. That's
really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that jump scare, that got me.
Oh, yeah.
Usually I don't like jump scares because I think they're cheap and, really manufactured horror. But this one, because it was already like a heated conversation, so you were already kind of on edge with what they were doing, and then boom, something just like pops out. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. That was crazy.
That was, yeah. I'm not a big jump scare fan either, but that was definitely effective. Yeah. Like that was a jump scare done well.
Yeah, definitely. It didn't need to be there, but it was Nell telling him to, like, there's more important things going on. So like, come on. We don't need to like be focusing on this. You guys need to get along. Yeah. And like work together, be a family type of thing. Right. And that was the purpose of that jump scare itself. I guess that's true. Was to get them to get along, and also that's when Theo breaks down and they
they get through whatever it is that they were going through at that point.
Yeah.
She tells them exactly what happened with...
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then Cheryl has her skeleton in the closet, too.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of cool, how they were alluding to something with her for a while.
Yeah.
And then when you get to an episode where it actually reveals what that is, I thought that was pretty cool, because she kept seeing this guy.
Yeah.
With like a drink.
Yeah.
Just randomly seeing this guy. I'm like, what is up with this guy? Who is that guy? Have
Yeah.
I seen him in the show yet? Or like, he looks different. Is that Luke?
Yeah.
But then you find out.
You
like,
find out,
who
yeah,
that
what
is
happens.
and
Yeah.
why she's seeing this person.
And they all have their own skeletons.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's some
even Steven
guilt,
has...
You know?
Yeah.
Another
There's
theme.
definitely guilt in this
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Just
it's
so much to talk about.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Um,
That's what happens when you have 10 hours of
yeah.
of footage here. This is like, what, 5 movies? 5
Yeah.
2-hour movies?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. So I do have a quote that I really liked.
Okay.
So I'm going to play that. This is within the last probably 5 minutes of the show.
Oh, is it Stevens?
Steven,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. His whole... That's another speech that, like, gave me goosebumps every time Yeah.
So here we go.
Is the relinquishment of logic. This old house, she's quite the key. The willing relinquishing of reasonable patterns. Quite the keeper. We yield to it, or we fight it. We cannot meet it halfway. Without it, we cannot continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Hill House. Not sane.
Man, so good. The world is just too depressing and too much of reality can really tear you down. So that's basically what he's saying there.
Yeah. And
man,
so I am going to say that I'm on record on previous podcasts saying that I love movies that have like endings where the bad guy wins and stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen a lot, so it's really nice. Not nice, but I like when it happens. Having said that, this end to this show was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was.
And I've heard that like most people have loved the end for this show, but there are quite a few people that I've seen hated it.
Oh.
Because it has a different tone in that episode, in that last 5 minutes of the episode.
Right.
As opposed to the entire rest of the show.
Right.
I can understand that to a certain extent.
Especially with the song in the background.
Yeah.
And, you know.
It's like, it's kind of Lifetime.
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. I was just thinking like Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
You know, something like that.
But the problem that I have with that is when you have a show, you've gotten to know these characters for like 10 hours. Like that's a long time for one character.
Yeah.
You've seen like the torment that they've gone through as adults and everything. Like you want them to have a win.
Yeah.
At some point. And the end to this was definitely what the family needed.
Yeah.
And so that's I absolutely loved the end of this show.
Yeah.
And I am glad that even though we are getting The Haunting of Bly Manor, it is not a sequel.
Yeah.
It is not continuing on this family.
Yeah. No.
This family had a start and a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
And I'd be okay with more shows doing that. Like, I love continuation stories to a certain extent. But with those, after a while, it does get kind of boring and old.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
You know, like I think a good example we kind of already mentioned was True Detective.
Yeah.
That first season, you know, it's a beginning and an end.
Mm-hmm.
Same with this. I would say those two are my
this...
two favorite like single season series.
Yeah.
You know, take away season 2 and 3 of True Detective. If you just have that one season, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this can continue that with the next seasons, even though it's not really a second season, third season.
Yeah.
The next installment, I guess, of
hear
Haunting series.
The Haunting series, yeah. I did hear that Mike Flanagan is not directing and writing all of the episodes, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that's not going to take anything away from it, but we'll see.
Okay. I guess there's other people out there.
Yeah. I guess they can have an episode or two. But yeah, that speech and Nell's speech in that same episode, episode 10, was really good as well.
Yeah.
Most of the characters had a speech in there.
Right.
At least 3 of the 5 siblings did. I don't think Luke and Shirley did, but Steven with that, Nell and Theo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an amazing first season.
Yeah.
Or I guess only season, since it's not technically gonna have another season. But yeah. So.
All right. So, any negatives? We just spent about 50 minutes talking about positives.
Yeah, I know.
So. You got any negatives?
So when you find out that Steven is a writer, he goes to these people's houses in episode 1.
Didn't episode 1 wasn't part of it in Louisville or where
Auburn.
was it? Auburn. Yeah.
It was in Northern California. That's where Steven lives. Yeah, apparently.
Auburn.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. It's not
We're
too
from
far.
Sacramento, by the way.
So. Yeah.
It's like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's not too far away from here. But he goes to this woman's house, this black woman's house, about writing a story that her husband died. Yeah. And some of her acting was a little over the top, I think, when she was describing what happened, and I was just like, okay, it's not the greatest, especially when that's one of the first scenes of the entire show. Yeah, that it's showing this lady kind of overacting a little bit, right? Being a little dramatic at times when she's describing everything that happened. Yeah. Honestly, that's probably my only negative that I have.
And that's very small.
Yeah, that's maybe 5 minutes in the first episode. Yeah, it's just such this is the standard for how you write and direct a show or movie. Yeah, this show right here. I'm laying it out there. This is the standard.
Joel has spoken.
I have.
What did I call you in this one?
Sadistic?
Sadistic Joel has spoken.
Yes.
That carries even more weight.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, and I'm having to reach for negatives, but I think that the horror could have been better. I'm not a huge fan of haunted house movies in general, paranormal movies. It's not my favorite genre. It's not the horror that makes this good. The horror is the the necessary part, but the stuff that makes it good is the writing, the drama, the storytelling, the morals that you learn, things like that. It's what makes it really good, and the acting. The horror, I feel like, could have been scarier. Could have been, just could have been more horror, I mean, there were the ghosts and, things in the background and stuff. But I don't think they were really trying to make it scary, necessarily.
No, that wasn't really the point of the show.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say to change it, but if you're going to change it just for me, then maybe make it a little more scary.
Yeah. Okay.
That's about it.
You want the director's cut of
Yeah.
it being scary.
For Danny.
For Danny, yeah.
The Danny director's cut. But yeah, so I mean...
If you're listening to this, Mike Flanagan.
yeah, make it scary. But that's really all I can say. Definitely my favorite Netflix show.
Oh, yeah.
That they've done. So.
Oh, yeah.
And it's coming out in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Well, when you hear this, I don't know when I'm going to post it, but
Yeah. As of
it comes out
filming-
October 9th.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will be out before then. So go ahead and listen to this and then go watch that.
Yes.
All right, so it has been our episode on...
Want me to grade it?
Oh, yeah, we should probably grade it. All right, Joel, what's your grade?
All right.
We haven't done TV shows yet, so...
We haven't.
It's kind of...
We have not done... This is our first one. And for it being the first one, this is kind of a high bar to...
I know. Yeah.
Kind of should have started with a worse show than this,
Yeah,
but
we could have done like Dark Angel or something.
work our way up to this one. So I have to do it. I have to give this 100.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Sadistic Joel.
Yep, I'm giving this a 100. 10 out of 10.
Dang.
Because
Wow.
it's besides that one moment of overacting,
Yeah.
the other 9 hours and like I don't know 99
9 hours and like 50 minutes.
oh yeah 55 minutes.
9 hours and
I was thinking like
99
percentages
minutes.
when I was, and then I kind of got a little twisted there. 9 hours and 55 minutes was perfection.
Okay.
I wouldn't say anything
Okay.
wrong about this, and like I said, this is the standard. Should be the standard for how you write, how you direct, how you act in in a
anything.
TV show or movie. Yeah,
This is like the Bible right here.
basically. Yeah.
This is the gospel. Sadistic Joel.
Yes. It is.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right.
I had to do it.
Okay, I'm gonna go 95.
95.
Not gonna go so crazy. I mean, I gave Halloween a 95, so or 97 or something like that.
This is better than.
So,
Or that's better than this. Or on par with.
yes, on par.
Okay.
I'm gonna say on par. For me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm not gonna go back and watch this too much. You know,
Oh,
I'm not.
I mean, it's 10 hours. I mean, I don't think most people will go back and watch it too many times.
Yeah. I guess that's a good point.
It's not a 2-hour movie.
But, you know, like, I don't know, like, I'm thinking of TV shows.
Yeah.
You know, like 24, I'm going to put above this. Because I'm going to watch 24 over and over again. Seinfeld, I'm going to put it above this.
Those are easier to get through
Yeah,
because they're only
exactly.
20-minute episodes.
Yeah, I know. It's not really fair to compare.
And 24 is 40-minute episodes.
It's really apples and oranges. but yeah, you know, I just don't want to go perfection. I don't feel like anything can be 100.
Well, yeah.
Really, you know.
I mean,
But
I guess
hey,
even giving it a negative,
you
should have
can-
knocked it down 1%.
No,
for
you
me.
keep that 100.
But yeah, I'm keeping it
All right.
regardless.
This is Joel's favorite thing in the world. All right.
I mean, I can have
there you
other
go.
hundreds, but you know, it's not like I can only have one. But this is the gold standard. This is what things should strive to be. Like
Yeah.
writing, directing, all that.
All right.
Even cinematography, even that episode
Yeah,
6, like
yeah,
it had some really good moments,
Right.
some really good shots in there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a lot of the visuals, the lighting, camera work, all that was cool.
yeah.
Was cool. Okay, so this has been our episode, about an hour-long episode
All right.
of The Haunting of Hill House from Netflix from 2018. Go ahead and see us on Facebook at Scare Talk Podcast, on Twitter at Scare Talk Pod, and go listen to us all over the globe on Apple, Google, Spotify, and many others. And yeah, this has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight. Don't let the bent neck lady bite your neck.